This coordinated approach will be used as a model to address the varied and often unique quality of life concerns experienced by other communities throughout the city. By focusing at a local level, we can begin to address the systemic issues that plague neighborhoods and actually start to fix them. We will also take this targeted approach with our city's jail facilities. Last year, the Council passed 8 pieces of legislation creating real transparency at Rikers. This year, we will continue to shine the spotlight on our city's jail system by passing legislation establishing an Inspector General for the Department of Correction. The Inspector General will focus on systemic issues in the city's jail system and will be modeled after the successful NYPD Inspector General established by the City Council in 2013. Every year, there are about 70,000 admissions to Rikers and other city jails, but only about 16% of those admitted are ultimately sentenced to prison. As we know, even a short stay at Rikers can be harmful. As a result, many fall into an endless cycle of recidivism. And the deeper you fall into that cycle, the more difficult it is to get out. Many lose hope in themselves and in the system itself. Si hay neoyorquinos que sienten que no tienen esperanza en el futuro, esa es nuestra falla. If there are New Yorkers today who feel they have no hope for a future, that is our failure. Reducing recidivism must be a top priority. To start, the Council will work with the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice to create a municipal division of transition services. This division will help those re-entering our communities to get back on their feet through computer classes, resume building, drug treatment, housing resources, and more. We will continue to expand programming at Rikers to support rehabilitation and to reduce the amount of conflict that occurs when there is too much idle time. And we know that maintaining community ties has been proven to reduce recidivism. So the Council will develop a video visitation program for those who are incarcerated, so families can go to a local library or a neighborhood center and talk to their loved ones or even read together when they can't make the day-long trip to Rikers Island. And we will continue to demand that the state raise the age of criminal responsibility. It is a travesty that our 16 and 17-year-old children are automatically treated as adults in our criminal justice system when they should be dealt with in family court. New York is one of only 2 states left in this country that still does this, and it is shameful. Qué vergüenza. Treating 16 and 17-year-old children like adults builds cycles of revenge and ruins too many lives. A little more than a year ago, the world was introduced to a young man from the Bronx named Khalif Browder. Khalif was 16 years old when he was sent to Rikers to await trial. The fair and speedy trial that we are promised in the Constitution. That trial would never come. Instead, Khalif languished in Rikers for 3 years. Sitting in solitary confinement for almost 2 of those years, he endured unspeakable psychological and physical abuse. He was never even convicted of a crime, and the charges were eventually dropped. But it was too late. Khalif entered as a child, but left as a broken man. A few months later, Khalif died by his own hands. It was not one failure which led to his death. It was generations of failures compounded on one another. There are certainly other Khalifs out there. Young people who have left Rikers so damaged by their interaction with the system that they reoffend, relapse, or worse. Mrs. Browder, I want to thank you for being here today. Our current Riker-centric system has been plagued by a culture of violence requiring federal oversight. It is also wildly inefficient. Necesitamos más justicia en el sistema de justicia. We need more justice in the justice system. Far from the courthouses, it regularly costs the Department of Correction $25 million per year just to transport inmates. And if you want to visit friends or family or see an attorney, it typically takes them an entire day just to travel to Rikers and go through processing. This system keeps those who have been accused of committing crimes out of sight and out of mind. It is time to take our criminal justice system out of the shadows and finally address the institutional racism which has plagued it for far too long. It is time to reimagine our entire criminal justice system. Today, I am announcing a new independent commission chaired by former Chief Judge Jonathan Lippman, who is here with us today. Which will explore a community-based justice model that will complement existing reform efforts. The commission will create a blueprint for justice for New York City. It will recommend ways to continue to reduce pretrial detention rates and assess moving adolescents and those suffering from mental illness off Rikers in the short term. It will also look at utilizing more community courts and borough-based jail facilities. Rikers Island has come to represent our worst tendencies and our biggest failures. It is where Khalif suffered and his spirit broke down. For too long, Rikers has not stood for more justice, but for revenge. We must explore how we can get the population of Rikers to be so small that the dream of shutting it down becomes a reality. This is how we will get there. This is how we will bring more justice to New York City. Finally, I want to speak to all of you about a certain ceiling we keep hearing about.